We continue our run of derby fixtures for Fridays. What's our Friday fixture next week? Uh, Freiburg Leverkusen.
Hmm.
Interesting. Well, anyway, we continue our run of derby fixtures this week. The Klassiker, Dortmund Bayern. A lot of implications to this match here. Even a draw would be enough for Dortmund to stay in the title hunt. But a win would bust the title hunt wide open. So, a lot on the line coming into this one. Signal doing a part. There's no yellow wall, but still, the ominous background. Bayern come away 1-0. Joshua Kimmich, just pure filth. Which after the game, he says that that coaches had told him that Berkey had been coming off his line. Lobbed it right over him. So maybe it's a flick masterclass there. Haven't seen the goal. You got to check it out. Just Kimmich said it was his best goal. That one for me is right up there with the goal he scored against Real. I think technically wise, this is light years ahead of that. But as far as impact,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to dissect here on all kinds of levels. But Keenan, I know the big takeaway for us was just the defensive battle. And I looked at the player ratings after. I forget who does them, but there's one of the ones that does really in-depth player ratings, and they gave Boateng and Hummels the same rating. A lot of people have been talking about that, just their performances, and two players that I think especially Boateng, people had counted out. When they were cut from the national team, so they're washed, yada yada yada. Both putting up just a heck of a day on the defensive end. What did these sides get right defensively? I mean, we could start with Dortmund because they frustrated a Bayern side that has made a routine of scoring 3-4 goals every week, and they were only able to get that one. So got to give some credit there, right? What'd you like from the Dortmund?
I loved their shape, their commitment early to keeping and controlling the ball. I know it took quite a while. I think the first 30 or so minutes, most of the possession belonged to Dortmund. It was just until then that Bayern began to get it back. So not something you were traditionally going to see from them. But it's what we've been talking about recently with this Dortmund squad. Their formation with that three in the back allows for such versatility there. They could drop into a 5-back with Hakimi and Guerrero. But honestly, for me, like Hummels is great, was masterclass, his normal self, right? His headers that prevented Lewandowski from getting touches, his incredible passing. But for me, the interceptions and the positioning of Lucas Piszczek was incredible. He was an underrated hero for me, for that Dortmund squad, just on how committed he was to sticking with the guys that he needed to. So I've loved this lineup for Dortmund. I've loved this formation, but just an overall concerted effort by them to keep possession once they got it, and to limit the exposure to Lewandowski, which is a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, with all the talk about the youngsters, the Haalands, the Brandts, Hazard, even on the Bayern side, young players there like Davies, who had a phenomenal day, don't get me wrong. But the veterans, the Piszczeks of the world, Neuer had a heck of a day. It's kind of showing, hey, we're still here. This is still, and they've had a long, many years of this back and forth, this derby. So definitely they take it personal, and you could see that. I think there was one tackle on Hummels and Lewandowski, and they said, yeah, these two guys, they play together at Dortmund, and they play together at Bayern. Now they're back on separate sides. So definitely very familiar with each other.
Yeah, and seeing Lewandowski on the ground and having Piszczek and Hummels come over and make sure he was okay and everything. It was like you're checking on him, and then you got the national team connection there. Thomas Muller with all of his games in the Derby there, or the Klassiker, and like it's just crazy to think that like these guys are well aware of the battle it was, and I've been thinking about it sort of all day. Like this is probably my favorite game, just from performances on both levels and how intense from start to finish and how close it was. This is probably my favorite game so far this season.
The season.
Yeah.
Whew. Woo.
Yeah.
We'll
Favorite.
circle back to that one because I gotta go dig into some highlights. Is it Bayern game or are you saying
No,
game of the
not specifically Bayern game, but
oh,
from both performances from two teams. Because obviously Bayern's put in some
yeah,
games, like even
right,
the reverse fixture of this one, I think was a better game as a Bayern fan. But
right.
from what you saw, like a tactical, like just both teams, punch for punch, just being at their best, going at each other, right? Like it was even, it was a battle, it was stressful, it was as a pure soccer enjoyment game of high level quality soccer from both sides is my favorite game.
To me, it felt a lot like the Champions League final too. I know we had a few more goals there, and obviously the thriller at the end, but it was a battle. A bloodbath. Um, Paul, I'll let you rebuttal that one because I know that you've got thoughts on that too. But I'll give you some time to think about what your favorite game would be. Maybe you got it. But I want to ask you because I know Dahoud, one of your favorite players, at least a few seasons ago, hasn't really had the most joy since he's been at Dortmund. But I was impressed with him in this game. Just want to pick your brain. If you felt like maybe there's a breathe new life in him, having a bigger role at Dortmund in the future, or if maybe it's more signs that he needs to find greener pastures where he can continue to develop his game.
Repeat that.
Oh yeah, sorry. Mostly Dahoud. I mean, you don't have to talk too much about it. I know that he was one of you are a fan. Back in his Gladbach days, but since his time at Dortmund, he really hasn't gotten to shine the way that he did there. And just wondering, if this game, he had a good game, if that'll be enough to breathe new life in him, or if maybe he should be looking at, getting a transfer going somewhere where he can be, the star of a team.
Well, there are a lot of games left in this season, and we're used to seeing kind of like a pecking order in terms of the midfield, where like, there's always to be a couple who are just perform well this week, and then they might dip off because of lack of playing time or just maybe falling out with management or injuries are a thing with Dortmund. But yeah, I feel like he did really well in this game as far as compared to other midfielders, and I think he should probably, if he keeps having performances like this, then I think he should definitely stay for at least one more season.
Yeah, I mean, they're deep. I mean, bringing in Emre Can, and then obviously Witsel when he's fit. Delaney now back. It's a tough midfield to break into, but I think the he's got a lot of talent. Interesting matchup for me, Davies and Erling Haaland, which I think kind of canceled him out. And that was one that like a lot of people were talking about, because coming into the fixture, I thought, okay, Haaland goals it's going to happen. I mean, just what he's doing right now. And quietly that little roadrunner, you know, kind of into the night for him. And before you knew it, he was coming off. Unfortunately, he did come off injured. He will miss the fixture this weekend, so we wish him a speedy recovery there. But yeah, to me, it kind of highlighted two things. He's still got some development. He's still not quite there, and I think that this game was a good kind of metric of that. And I think Bayern knew that coming in. We're gonna kind of knock this kid down a few notches. So I think that was one thing that I highlighted. But further highlights how much of an asset Davies is, because there was a couple plays, notably when Haaland had his his traditional long ball over the top, or there's some that maybe split Alaba and Boateng, and he's just got the pace to beat both of them. Point blank period. And if he gets one-on-one with keeper, I don't care if it's Neuer. We've seen what he's capable of. But Davies able to track back, take the ball from him like it's nothing. The kid's something special, and then see him on the other end getting the goal. My man of the match.
I'll agree with that term. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a question for you guys. Was this Boateng's best game of the season? Or even the last 2 seasons?
It was your favorite game, right?
It's my favorite game.
I'm going to say yes for 2 reasons. 1, because this is an important game. Number 2, because I sure as heck can't remember my seasons. So I'm going to just go with it. Yeah. More of errors.
Well, here's one, though. And I know there's nothing you can do about it. It was missed handball. And I think that if that one's called, we do look at this game a little bit differently.
It's not called, it doesn't happen.
I can't blame the refs. I saw this on Twitter that, if Dortmund stopped play, maybe ask, hey, can you take a look at this?
Yeah, there was no objection by Dortmund on it.
Yeah, they kept playing. But, watching it, clearly deflected out. That's not to say Neuer probably would have gotten that save there, but it clearly was his shoulder, or I guess upper arm.
Yeah, it was the back. It was the backside of his arm, just below the shoulder. Yeah, it was
with the turning motion too.
But you see, right before that, he does slip, so it wasn't necessarily like he slid in. It was.
Oh yeah, it wasn't intentional. He was in the ground and he was in the path of the ball, and so again, I know they have all these weird rules with how the handballs work now. So I'm no, referee expert, but I do think that one's an interesting one because had it gone the other way, we maybe look at that and say, Boateng, what were you doing? Stand on your feet, even though he didn't go to ground intentionally, he did slip.
Right.
Noticed that a couple times. The pitch wasn't the best that night, but yeah, I had to point that out. But overall, really good day. I really liked how we were able to bring in Hernandez for him. As you said, Boateng showing that he can't put up that effort for 90 minutes, and that's okay. We've got the depth now to allow him to do his thing while he can, and then you bring in incredible
world class
champion and Lucas Hernandez. So no complaints there. Yeah, just so much to talk about from that fixture. Paulie, I don't know if you were in here. You weren't in here. Goretzka, go look at the pics if you haven't seen him. He's looking a lot like you lately.
Whoa.
Man's been getting it in. I like what I see with him deputizing for Thiago. Obviously Thiago's still when the Bayern goats. When he's fit, he's going to be in that midfield. He's going to be that pairing with Kimmich. That's pretty clear. But Leon, I'm really impressed with what he's showing, and I think that this is a prime time for him to do that and say, hey, look, I can be a big piece, because I think that has been kind of in question. It's been kind of, where's he going to fit? He wasn't going to dethrone Mueller, up there in the 10 role. So there's been some question marks about that, but I think that he's continuing to solidify himself. And I think that, unfortunately, as Bayern do look to offload Tolisso this off season, it's going to kind of lighten up that midfield, because midfield's so deep for Bayern, and at times almost too deep, where guys aren't getting playing time. And I think that's it's honestly going to help us where we can get depth in places that we need it, and kind of offload in places that we maybe have a bit too much that's kind of hindering guys' development. So he was the other one that kind of jumped out to me, because it's not easy. Especially when we got Delaney out there. We know what he's capable of. Liked it.
And Flick did use a few of his subs this time. Some of it was to burn up some time, but we did see, a couple of guys come in: Javi Martinez, Lucas Hernandez, Perisic. So it was nice to see him use subs. Obviously the extra subs weren't needed, but That
Never will be.
that Perisic
What's,
tackle on the sideline, though. Did you see that? The double-footed tackle he had?
man, I'm telling you, the guy signed him. You know I'm a fan. I love that
Love that guy.
guy.
Well, another guy who's
Love
been
him.
through it, though.
Yeah. Hey, look, the last one for me on this one though, Javi Martinez. Almost forget about the guy. I think this is his first showing of the new year, I believe, in 2020. Is
Sounds
that
right.
right? Love the hair with the band. Very classic look. But what's the deal? I haven't heard a whole lot. I mean, the assumption was that he was leaving. He was upset. We saw the whole thing with I think it was his son's birthday. Or he had family coming to a game and Flick didn't
Yeah.
play him. There was all this talks about him going back to Spain, and then it kind of just fizzled out. Haven't heard a whole lot. I know Bayern has been trying to do a better job of managing what gets out to the media, so we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, obviously. But I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, think he's going to be a Bayern player next year? 10 being that he stays.
Right. Yeah. 10 being guaranteed stays, 1 being he's 100% gone. Like, we already got a club signed up for him. Truly, I have no idea. It's been, like you said, it's been zero information coming out. So much of it has been focused on the Neuer, Alaba, Thiago, contract situation. And they've made such a concerted effort to say, we're dealing with those 3 things first, and then we'll get to the other ones. Because even Boateng's talking about the fact that he's like, I haven't heard anything. I have a contract through 2021. Like, not going to stress about it. So
Yeah.
I have no idea. Truly, like, I couldn't even give you a number because there's no information.
Yeah. Because as you said, Zula will be back, and things signs still point to him probably being a number 1 defender back there. So it's going to be interesting to see. I still like Javi in the midfield, but
Oh yeah, definitely.
as we said, a lot of depth. What you think of Paulie? You think we'll still see Javi next year?
It's definitely a strong possibility. I've lost track of the times I've thought that we would not see Hobby or Boating, or even during the short period where Mueller was less than exceptional. So I've learned to just not assume that they'll be gone. I'll just wait till it happens. So yeah, I don't have a magical ball we can shake around and see who's not here and who will be. So, yeah.
yeah. Sounds not worth taking a gamble. Well, fellas, that's the Klassiker. So that would be probably its own video. Really breaking that one down. Hate to keep it open, but is that the title, boys?
Is what the title? Oh, the game?
That deciding.
I said on our very first ever recording that Bayern would win the title over Dortmund by 10 points. We're sitting at 7 right now.
I mean, at least 10.
Yeah, that was the title, boys. Champions get it done. This is their time of the year. We talk about it time and time, and this is the Bayern time of year.
And it's Flick's just general time. This is what this man does.
Yep.